Welcome to Creative Pages with Catherine. I'm Catherine, and you have found the complete Bat in a Cage project that I feature in my 1313 Mockingbird Lane video. I am so excited to share with you all how I created my bat and key and put the whole project together into my cage. Let's go ahead and take a look. As you all saw in my intro, I found this really cool half bird cage that was just at my local thrift store. And I mean, it's not pretty and it is definitely distressed, but I think it's going to be perfect for what I want to put together for our challenge today. Because we are going to create a bat that is going to wind up behind those bars. And you might be able to get himself free. We'll see. But the first thing we did, I also found this wood sign at my thrift store as well. And both pieces were less than $3. I think I bought 4 items for $6. At my thrift store, and I bought a mug, and I couldn't even tell you what the other thing was that I purchased, but it wasn't much, but these were the 2 biggest items I got. So why don't we say I spent $4 between the 2 items, and I'm finally going to get a chance to try ironing on my paper to have that really nice flat look on one of these things. We're going to be using some paper from our Hide and Eek collection that just came out because I thought this was kind of fun with all the eyes. I went ahead and pre-cut my paper to 11 1/8 inch tall by 11 1/4 inch wide because that's what the board measures out to, and we are going to be ironing on our paper to the board so that way it'll come out nice and smooth. And I don't have to worry about the wrinkles with the Mod Podge anymore because my crafty friends have shown me what to do. But I also want to show you the page that inspired all of this. This is a scrapbook page I created a couple of years ago, and I just thought it was kind of fun. It has our bat, which does have some dimension to it. You can kind of make it so it looks a little bit more. But of course, it's going to lay flat when you have it on your page. But we're also going to recreate this key. But I just thought, this one, my bat is on the outside of the gate. And the one we're going to do today is going to have our bat inside our cage because we have the actual literal cage this time. Just grab your deco blade and cut some really thin strips. Grab your jumbo circle and create your gate. I used some wood tone paper that we had at the time, and I did it both with a gray wood tone and a brown wood tone, and you can see different key placement, slightly different placement on my lock as well. We're not going to recreate the lock, but we are going to make the key. If any of my scrapbookers have a question about it, just drop me a comment and let me know if you would like me to demo any of the parts of the actual page. Let's go ahead and get our Mod Podge onto this board. I'm going to go ahead and just spread it all clearly through the board, and then we're going to let it dry. Let's start with this. Whoops. Getting messy today. This is why I put cardboard on my desk, just in case. Okay, so I think that's pretty good. I have a nice layer of Mod Podge on here. I am just going to go ahead and set this aside and let this dry, and then I will be back with our next step. And if you're interested in my brush, I will put a link to one that's very similar in my description box with this video. Here we go. I have just my regular iron from home because I don't have a heat press, and I powered it on to low. So I have had this warming for about 5 minutes now or so. I let my board with my Mod Podge on it dry overnight, so you can see it's still there. You can see where I got a little thicker in places, but it is definitely dry. There's no wet white spots left. I am going to go ahead and place my cut piece of designer paper on, and then I cut a piece of parchment paper, because of course you don't want to put it directly on. You don't want to put your iron directly onto your scrapbook paper. You want to have something that's heat stable in between. And I know they do make the little heat presses, but I don't have one of those, so we're just going to go with the regular iron down low and get my scrapbook paper onto this board. And this is one of those things you can do to help prevent getting little bumps in your paper, which I wish I'd known a couple of years ago when I did my box. I still have my quilted box. I think that video is still on my channel. But what the heat does is it actually gets the Mod Podge activated again, and it'll help your paper to stick, and of course you're ironing it flat. I don't know, do you all remember when they used to iron newspapers back in the day? I don't think they actually used, I think they used just a wood heated iron and ironed up regular paper. No Mod Podge needed, I guess. Let's see how my top is doing. Since this is my first time trying it, I'm not sure exactly what to expect. I've seen some of my crafty friends do this many, many times, and they always look so confident doing it. I'm not so confident with this one. It's just my first time. Maybe when I do this again, I'll be a little bit more confident. I can kind of feel some of the bumps from the wood as I'm doing this, but yeah, I can tell it is actually starting to stick, which is nice. But I guess it does take a few minutes to get it all activated, warmed up, and stuck down. I'm going to give this one more pass over. The other thing you need to make sure is no steam. You want this on your lowest setting if you're going to use your regular iron like I am. And no steam, so empty out any water you have in your iron before you get rolling here. Let's take a final look at how we're doing here. I think I was almost done a moment ago. Yep, I can't even get the edges to come up. Well, that one came up just a hair. So I'll get that one down, and then otherwise it looks like I have a beautifully flat paper on my board. And I'll be back with you all in just a moment. Take off your parchment. I will hold this up to the camera so you all can see how beautifully that turned out. Here you go. Nice and flush on the board. Oh, I'm so excited. That looks beautiful. Can't see any creases or wrinkles, which I guess is the point of doing that technique, the heat press and the iron. What do y'all think? Let's go ahead and get our bat made next. And then we'll get it put onto our board. Let's get our bat made for our page. To make the bat, you are going to need your 12-inch trimmer. You are going to need your custom cutting system ovals, and we are going to need the second smallest oval. And this is how I keep my ovals together. I know I showed in my ink and brush Grateful Harvest video the ring I had for my, well, the little ring I have to keep my stencils together. So I have a small one for my stencils. I have a larger one for my custom cutting system. And I will link these in the description box below this video. We also are going to need our red blade. Oh, you know, I pulled out the wrong oval. Okay. We actually are going to need our second largest oval, not our second smallest oval. Sorry if I said the wrong thing or I just pulled the wrong one out. I got so excited to show my little ring holding everything together so I don't have to dig to find my ovals or my circles. I have my circles on a ring also. We're also going to need our red blade, and these do need to be changed every so often. It depends on how much you use your custom cutting system. It's nice to have a fresh blade from time to time. You can kind of tell when your page doesn't look as clean as you're cutting it. We will be using black shimmer cardstock to put together our bats. And then you also do need a 13 by 13 custom cutting system mat to cut on. This is a self-healing mat. I do use a little bit of our drawer liner to keep my mat in place. It just helps to keep it from sliding around all over the place while you're cutting. Just makes it a little bit easier to work on. First things first, we are going to cut out 2 4x6 rectangles. So our first cut is going to be at 4 inches. And then we'll set this over here because that's what we're going to cut our oval from. And make sure that you are not on your mat because you do want your trimmer to lay flat. So I'll bring this down just a little bit so y'all can see it a little bit easier. I thought I had my stuff set up so I could be on camera and not have to move things around, but you know, we're always learning, right? All right, so there are my 2 4x6. Basically, I just took my piece that I cut at 4 inches. I turned it 90 degrees. I placed it at the 6-inch mark on my trimmer, making sure that my little foot is down so that way my trimmer bar stays steady. And I'm going to go ahead and put my trimmer to the side now. For the body of our bat, we are going to use, oh, you know what? Okay, we do need both. I was right. We need actually the second smallest and the second largest. I am so sorry. You know, I have my instructions here, and it's been a while since I have put this one together. I forgot we needed 2 of our ovals. Let's see. So for the body of our bat, we need the second smallest oval with the red blade on the outside. And it's always nice when you're putting in your pegs. So you have your 2 pegs and you have your blade on your custom cutting system blades. Put the 2 pegs in the track while it's elevated. It just makes it a little bit easier to see. You definitely have less chance of ripping your paper. If you don't get both pegs in, you will definitely rip your paper. And our red blade is the one that cuts the closest to the actual template. So you can go kind of close to the edge of your paper. I'm giving it about 1/4 of an inch margin here. Let's go ahead and cut around the outside. I am so sorry for any confusion I created. We do need the 2 ovals. Okay. So that's the body of our bat. Go ahead and set that aside and set aside your black cardstock for right now. Next, we are going to grab one of our 4x6 mats that we cut. For the first wing, we are going to fold the bottom right corner of the rectangle up to make a square. So bring up this bottom right corner. We are going to line it up with this top edge of our paper here, matching up the points, and go ahead and just a simple fold. Okay. Next, on our mat below the 6-inch line, if possible, that just makes it a little bit easier to see. We are going to take our second largest oval with our red blade. We are going to cut along the outside again with this one. If you want to go ahead and lift it up and seat your blade first, you can. Just make sure it's on the opposite side because we want to line up our paper first along. So we have our edge that we folded here to create our square. And we are lining up our oval pretty much following the line of our fold here. How far in am I going? I'm between the 7 and 8. So I have my point of my oval between the 7 and 8, and I have my, this is on the 9. So here my point is on the 9. All right, I'm under the 6. I have my point of my box at my 9-inch mark on my mat here. I'm going to bring my oval over a little bit because I have a photo I am following, and on this photo my tip of my oval is around the 9 1/4. So here's 9, here's 9 1/4. So it's a little bit beyond our, it's between the 9 and the 9 1/2 up here. So on this right edge. And where am I at the top? I am at the, just a little bit above the 9 as well. So let's see here. Let's angle this, or right at the 9, it looks like. Okay. So the top of our oval should be hitting the 9, and our right edge of our oval is right around the 9 1/4. So we're going just inside. We have about 1/4 of an inch from where the template hits our black cardstock to the corner here. And of course our blade is going to come in. We're going to bring it in from this right side. Oops. Coming around. And we're cutting an actual arc. And there is our first bat wing. So you do kind of want to get kind of close to that corner there to create that point just like we have there. Go ahead and set that one aside. We do want to keep these pieces because this is going to create our bat wings. And now we want to repeat the process, except fold the bottom left corner of the rectangle up to make the square. So bring this up here. We're essentially making our other bat wing. Like I said, it's been a little bit since I've made this project, so okay, so we want to be lined up at the 3 1/4 this time, under the 6. Here we go. Bring in our oval again. I've got my 2 pegs in already. I want my top part of my oval to hit the 9. I want the bottom edge to be right around the, let's see, this should be at this 3. This should be at the 3 1/4. Oh no, this is actually going beyond because we want that 1/4 of an inch in. And then this should be following the midpoint again. So if we're lined up around that 9, we just want to get that same arc to appear. And let me get this line back up again. So it's a little tricky to line up. You do want to make sure you are close to this edge. Make sure you're on that 6 going across at the top part of your line. Bring your blade back in. Actually, you have to bring it in from the left this time. Oops, I think I just moved my entire thing. Okay, so I'm going to hold on to my paper and my template. I'm going to bring my blade coming in from the left because we're going to nip that corner just a little bit. Grab my actual template again and bring it around. There we go. There is my second wing. I think I got a little closer to the corner that time, but that's about the same. That's good. It's nice if they're a little bit matchy-matchy. It's okay. So go ahead and set those aside. And you can put your blade away for right now. So I don't know if this is going to be easier for y'all to see if I turn my trimmer over or not, but we have our oval cut here. We are going to place it into our trimmer, and we're going to cut a diagonal line from this top point here down to the further corner here. So we're creating a another shape in our bat wing here. So lining this up on my dotted line, which is on the left side of my trimmer because that's where my blade runs. Putting this point down here. You don't want to cut the actual little fold. If you can, you want to get outside of the fold for your wing. Let me bring down my cut guide to make sure I am on track here. I need to scooch this over just a little. Okay. All right, here we go. So go ahead and cut. And then you have this triangle coming off and you have your wing. A little bit more defined. Now let's do the same thing with the other one that we cut here. Again, I'm going to cut from this top fold down to the opposite corner. So we're creating essentially we're cutting off a triangle. We're creating this diagonal motion with our bat wing. Get this lined up on my cut guide again because you want to make sure your blade is going to hit the part that you want it to hit. Check this bottom. Let's go ahead and correct this. That looks good. Okay, let's go ahead and cut. And there we go. So you're essentially cutting off these two triangles from your wings. Okay, set your trimmer aside again. And now we are going to assemble our bat. And I'm going to show you, whoops, if I can pick up my oval. Here's my oval. Here is my first wing. So we're going to attach the wings to the back of the oval. We're going to use our tape runner, but you can see where we want that long edge we just cut going under. And so that way our wings will come out. So we're attaching this to the back end here. You can see it looks like our bat is hanging right now. And then we're going to use up two of these scraps. I'm actually going to take the two with the flat bottoms to create my ears. But first things first, let's get some tape runner on here. And we'll just run it down this part of our bat. So just inside the widest part of your oval. Oops, and if you want to make sure your wings are straight, just line them up with following your mat here. You can see we've got these two going straight now. Bringing them in, I need to bring it in a little bit further. My oval isn't quite that wide, so it looks like I have 1, 2, let's try 2 inches first in between, and then I have my corner points right on the same mark across from each other as well. So these are running along the 4.5, just as where it wound up being. Okay, this one I need to straighten out just a little bit, get you on the 4.5. Actually, I'm just going to go ahead and probably stick that one first. So I do want it to be a little bit closer in. There we go. Let's see here. Where's my oval going? It's actually going to go up just a little bit. Oh, you know what? It's going up from this end. These are coming down. This is here. Okay, follow the 5, bring it down. So bringing this in and over. So where it kind of nests up a little bit, and then so again, like I said, my corner is at the 4.5. I'm bringing my oval in. I'm just going to do the one side first. I think that'll be easier. Since again, it's been a little bit since I've done this, I'm just nesting it up to this corner edge here. So it's about a 1/2 inch down. And then I'm going to go ahead and put my tape runner in there. And then this one I'm going to just bring in, and we'll see where this one ends up. Again, following that 4.5 inch line. Bringing in, trying to keep this even. Here we go. Keep that one straight. If you can, your left one. Bringing in my right one. This one's going to follow that same line. So it is about 1/4 of an inch in further following this straight line here to have it match up at this point of the oval. And if it's not precise, it's okay. You can see, I can see a little bit of my tape runner on the back. I'm actually going to lift this up and add just a little bit of my repositionable underneath to make sure I get a nice stick down of my wings in the back here. A little bit more at the bottom of the oval. There we go. All right, who's ready to attach some ears? So with our ears, we want to cross them. So we have the flat end coming out. It almost creates this little V in the center. Let me stick these together. Grab out my border mat real quick here. Scooch over my bat itself, and we're going to stick these. Actually, let's go ahead and put a little bit of regular tape runner on it. There we go. Okay, stick these together, and you want them to be, I guess you can just line up your bottom edge, right? Because we did cut our other piece pretty even. But we want our ears to have this little bit of a overlapping V showing. So here we go. We'll stick that together like that. You can see my bottom edge does line up. And now this is going to get a little bit more of our tape here. Just stick a little bit of repositionable at the end if you want. And these are going to tuck under from here because our bat is hanging upside down, and it's going to be hanging upside down on our layout as well. And we kind of just want to have it lined up to the point of the V here. So go ahead and rub, figure out where it is. I guess it is reasonably straight, but oops, here's my V. And this is what it looks like from the front. And so our bat is going to hang this way on our wood piece. Go ahead and set your bat aside. To make our key, you are going to need a scrap of your platinum shimmer cardstock and your smallest oval this time. Along with your blue and green blades. And we also will use our 12-inch trimmer. First things first, I'm going to line this up where it's going to essentially just use up a scrap of this platinum shimmer here. We are going to cut first with our blue blade along the inside of our oval. So you can angle your oval first, but once we cut this blue, do not move your oval. So cut your blue first and then your green. So watch closely as you put your pegs in. Go ahead and cut. This is the piece that is going to be the main part of our key, or actually, you know, like how those old keys had that little ring at the end of them. That's what that's going to be for. And then we are done with that. Set aside your 13 by 13 cutting mat. Bring out your 12-inch trimmer again. I'm going to clean up this edge on my paper because we're going to be cutting 1/8 of an inch increment. So on our 12-inch trimmer, the edge of the gray mat is where our 1/4 of an inch is. 1/2 inches start at the grid lines, and our 1/8 of an inch is essentially from one dotted line here to the second one. And I think I'm going to go ahead and turn my cutting mat because my other one is getting a little bit chewed up, and I want to make sure this 1/8 of an inch cut comes out very clean. So I'm going to clean up this edge first. And that is scrap. Go ahead and line up from one to the other here. Just 1/8 of an inch straight through. There we go. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put myself back on number 3 because I was on number 3 before. And this piece, we need a 2.5 by 1/8 of an inch to 1/2 inch by 1/8 inch pieces. So we need 2.5 inches first. Just line up on any of your grid lines to get that. And essentially, you just pop your blade through it. And then we need 2.5 inch by 1/8 of an inch. So start it. Actually, I'm going to go to the right because it's a little bit easier when you're cutting those smaller amounts to go to the right end of your trimmer and line it up at the very first grid line here. It's not so easy with such a small piece. There's one. Let me get my finger out of there because I'm holding the paper in place so tightly. Let me scoop my finger over just a little bit. And of course, I adjusted the paper when I moved my finger. There we go. So there's one. Small pieces. Slide it off your trimmer for now. We need one more 1/2 inch here. I'll leave my finger on the outside a bit more so I don't get it under that blade again, or the housing that holds the blade and the paper. There we go. Okay, number 2 is cut. There we go. This we can set aside as well. To put your key together, I brought in my lifter stick just in case I needed help picking up these little 1/8 of an inch by 1/2 inch pieces. I also am bringing in just a little bit of parchment paper. I can work on my mat, but it's almost easier on the parchment paper because then that way I don't have to worry about cleanup later. I also grabbed my precision point adhesive because, like I said, you can use the repositionable tape and it'll be fine. I just find that the precision point adhesive is a little bit cleaner and it holds just a little bit stronger. We are going to start on one end here, our left end. I am going to add just a little dot of my precision point adhesive to this left end of my key to give it a start. Just a little dot all the way on our left edge. You can see I've just put a little dot there. I don't know if you can see it. Let me actually adjust the camera closer for this. Okay, I've adjusted the camera so it comes in a little bit closer for you all, and hopefully you can see it easier. But basically there's my little glue dot on the end. We're going to take our ring that we cut and we're going to put it just through the center, right on that little glue dot, just lining it up. Use your fingernail to push it down if you want. You don't want to see the other end. There we go. You just want to line it up nicely. There we go. Okay, so that's over the top. And then we want to bring in our little pieces. I knew I was going to need my lifter stick. And then we do want to bring our little tongs of our key in from behind. So I am going to add just a little dot of glue to each one of these, and then we're going to put one so they're not quite at the end and they don't even have to be quite even on here. We just want to have our key look kind of like an old little rickety key that they used to have. So not quite all the way to the end. I'm just sliding it under. You don't want to see the edge, so I'm bringing it back out. And of course, I got some glue on my finger somewhere. Use your fingernails to help if you need to, which is what I'm doing. And I'm getting number 2 underneath as well, lined up, maybe a little bit closer here. Try to have it straight, but you can see mine aren't quite completely even. And then our glue will dry clear. So my ring is on top, but my little ends of my key are underneath. So that's what my key looks like. We're going to let that dry and go ahead and get the rest of our craft put together. Our next step is going to be to add some spider webs to our board as well. And I'm going to cut some in the black shimmer and some in our white shimmer. And we're going to see which one we like better on our board. I am using a scrap piece of cardstock, so I'm going to cut two 2-inch by 12-inch pieces here. And since we're going to be punching with it, it doesn't matter that we have some decorative edge on it. So this is our white shimmer now, and again, I'm going to cut two 2-inch by 12-inch pieces, again, just from another scrap I had. I just leave that extra one here just in case. And let's get some punching going. With our spider web punch, it is one of our frame punches, which is a little bit different than our border punches. The frame punches can cut both the frames as well as the borders. For this project, because our board is a little bit smaller than 12 inches, we are just going to be using our frame line on our spiderweb punch. That is using the silver line on either side of our punch box housing. If we were going to do borders, we would line it up at the black lines on the inside of the punch box. So go ahead and unlock your punch. Line up our sheet. So we are going to do frame pieces first. Actually, yeah, we're going to do a row of framed pieces first because we are going to do some for just across the top, and then we're going to do some smaller ones. So bear with me. I'm going to go all the way across, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do next. So you do get 5 webs out of this. We are going to be cutting this with our trimmer in just a moment, but first we are going to do one more row, and with this row I'm doing the one that's more on the straight edge paper. I'm going to cut the frame again, and then we're going to flip it to make our smaller web. So bear with me, here we go. One thing I forgot to mention is you do line up once you punch with the design on the outside here, so you know where to make your next cut. So the blue essentially disappears behind your paper. So here are my 5 punches again. We're going to flip our paper. Let me clean this up so that way we don't get too much buildup on our table. And we're going to go ahead and line this up at the frame line again. Now, could you line this up at the border line? Yes, but it's a lot harder to see, and you will not probably line them up as exact as you will with doing them at the frame line. So this is why I am lining mine up at the frame line, so that way I get a really sharp web that's going to come out. So you are going to punch, you're going to have to shake, and then we're going to take our scissors and we're going to trim it just a little bit through that little bit of overlap. But isn't that cool? I just love that it gives us an extra little decorative element on our page. Start on our other end, and I'm going to push it all the way through, and we'll figure it out as we go. No, we can't. So let's just pop that one out. Line it up at the thing, and we'll see if this is going to work for our center one. I don't think so, because my center one is here. Because usually when you do that, it comes off as a little box. We're just getting our 2 ends. Okay. Well, I thought I'd be able to do a whole row of those. Didn't I try that? Yeah, because it's definitely not lined up. But if you line about here, okay. So we're going to be able to get our middle one. If you line up through the center of your two silver lines where we originally lined up. You're going to get your center one. And then that's going to give you a couple of just half ones for your page then instead. So we have 3 ones that we're going to trim out the centers a little bit. We have a couple of edge ones we're going to cut to make them a little bit smaller. So we'll be able to, don't worry, we're going to cut these squares off, but this means we can actually attach these here and make it look like a really cool corner to our web, which is going to be fun too. So that's our black. I've done a couple of strips. Let's do some white and let's see where we're at, what we're going to need for our actual project. I know I've said it before. Sometimes I have an idea in my mind of where we're going, but until I actually get into the project, don't always know until it's done. Okay, there's our white. And then we'll do one more and we'll do the double-sided again, or at least as much double-sided as we'll be able to get. Line it up and here we go. Flip it over. Let's do our, I wonder if we start in the middle, if we could work our way out. Let's try that real quick. We're going to start in the middle. So we get these 2 ends off. Let's see here. And let's see if I line this up here. Nope, that's still going to line up at the other point. That's not going to line up correctly. So let's just take our ends again and we'll still have the 2 halves. Okay. So it might be easier just to go from end to end again, bringing in your 2 end pieces, and then we're going to have these 2 halves again, which is perfectly fine. Like I said, they become a really neat decorative element also for our page or project. There's that. There's that. Let's set aside our punches for right now. Grab back out your trimmers. We are going to line these up at 1 inch from the tip of this little box or the tip of the spider web here. Careful with your fingers. And let me make sure that looks a little close. Yep, that's definitely a little bit too close. You need at least 1 inch and 1/8. Let's add 1/8 of an inch here, the top and the bottom. 1/4, that's 1/8. Okay, am I lined up still? Nope. That's lined up, 1 inch and 1/8. And then just hold on as best you can. Yep. Because that gets us really close to our edging there. The 1 inch and 1/8 is it. We're going to grab our scissors in a moment. And we have this extra strip now to use for another project. Let's get this one lined up at the 1 inch and 1/8 also. 1 inch and 1/8. 1 inch and 1/8. So you're in between the grid line basically, because our grid lines run every 1/4 of an inch. Okay, hold it in place as best you can. There's that one, and we'll do these other ones at, I think we'll also do 1 inch and 1/8 on these because we want them to match. I don't know if I can get it lined up nicely at the 1 inch and 1/8. Maybe if we put our, yep. Okay, so put your straight edge right on the 1/4 of an inch line, which is essentially the end of the gray mat here. It's just a good marker. You know you'll be even, and that's kind of in between, it looks like. It's a little bit wider than what we had on the other one. Just toss those pieces, go ahead and line everything up at the end of the gray line here for these smaller ones. So there is that. Let's grab out our scissors next. We're going to take our scissors and we're just going to cut at an angle following the line of the spider web to create a point on the edge here. Flip it over and let's go ahead and do that again. Just following the edge of my spider web here, creating a point on the end. Do the same thing with your white shimmer ones. And we're going to go ahead and trim out, I need my microchip scissors for these, our centers on our other webs. Am I missing one? Oh no, I got 3 of the, oh, you know what, I think I went at the other line for that one. I got 3 black and 2 white shimmers. That's okay. So just go ahead and trim out these little center bits that are from your paper, but we don't necessarily want them to show on our project, and I'll be right back with you. We now have our webs and our bat and our key ready to go. Let's bring in our board. Our next step is to layer our white and black spider webs. The white just looks a bit too stark on its own. I'll go ahead and show you on our base here. You can see that's all you see. And especially when you get your bat on, that's pretty much all you see. But with the layer of the black with it, it really pops. I'm gonna show you real quick here we go, the black on it. I'll show you real quick just the black on its own. And you can see it, but it looks kind of meh. So the 2 of them together though, let me add some repositionable tape here. To my white bases, we are going to have the white behind and the black going over the top of our white spider webs. Let's do this. Let me go ahead and put these smaller ones together first. And you just follow the line, go about 1/8 of an inch offset, because you do want to see a little bit of the white and you want to see a little bit of the black, but you can see how these coming together, they just really highlight the sparkle from the shimmer cardstock. You see, you definitely don't want it white side up. You want it black side up because that's what's going to highlight on our actual board here. My Mod Podge is definitely dry. It's kind of fun with that iron thing. I definitely don't iron much. And honestly, it doesn't matter which side of your black is up because it's cardstock. Both sides are the same. It doesn't matter which one goes down, whether you flip it or not. I am going to turn this one and put it where I can see it a little bit better because this one is our main one that will be going on to our board here. And I just want to make sure I get it lined up right around that 1/8 of an inch again. There we go. Coming through, hopefully a little bit straighter. Okay, there we go. So there you can see the black and the white with our web. Let me put something else behind it. Well, here I'll show you on our orange. You can see it'll pop with our little ghosties. So they're also in our Hide and Eek collection. And it's also going to pop on just your regular cardstock. So you can see you get more of the black when you have the lighter background. You can see them both. When you have more of a medium color palette, And here is a piece of our black cardstock. So you can really see how that pops on that. Kind of cool, huh? It's fun to play with color sometimes. So let me go ahead and get some more repositionable tape on these. We're going to flip these over because the white side is going to be in the back. I guess we could look at it from the other side on our colors. Do you want to see what it looks like on the other side too? I kind of do. Let's check it. Since I still have these here, let's just do a reverse showing real quick here. Here is our white side up where you can't really see it on the black cardstock as much. Oops, my ghosties got turned. You can tell the sticky side got changed. I had to fix that a minute. Here is on one of our, I always want to call it sherbet, but it's kind of like a tangerine. It matches our tangerine cardstock. And finally, let's look at it on a beige. Our beige. There you go. You can really see that black coming out from behind the white there. But for our purposes, working on the black eye page, the black page with all the eyes looking out at us, watching over our bat, checking to see if it's going to find the key or not, and open up its cage. We are going to have the black side forward. All right. We are going to place our two sides first, about 1/8 of an inch in, and this is about 1/2 inch down, and then we'll see if we need to move it. I'm not actually pressing it down yet, so 1/8 of an inch in, 1/2 inch down or so. Doesn't have to be exact. We're going to go about this 1/8 of an inch down. That really seems to work because you can see these two lines coming through here. Press down. And we are going to get, I'm going to just leave these here for right now because I want to get my bat placed next. I'm just going to come on hanging upside down. I'm going to use my regular tape runner to get this onto my page here. And that's why I wasn't too worried about the tape runner showing earlier. I knew that we would be adhering it to our page and it wasn't going to be a big deal. This is the back side of our bat. Let's see where we folded our, let's see here. Okay, yep, you can see that definition where we folded to create our wings for our bat. And I don't know, maybe it's a vampire bat, maybe it's a friendly black bat. Are any of the black bats friendly? I don't know. Now for our key, you can pull out your precision point adhesive again. Actually, that probably would almost show a little bit better, but I'm going to go ahead and use the repositionable on it so you can see the difference. It does get a little bit. So that bat might just find this key and be able to escape its cage that we are going to be putting it in. We'll find, who knows? Will the bat fly free? Who knows? And then this one's going to go just up a little bit, adding a couple of these as little extra decorative elements to our board here. So transforming it from our wanting to go see the mountains board from the thrift shop to a fun Halloween display. I'm going to have one of my stickers from our Hide and Eek designer sticker pack. We do have some Spiderwebs on the sticker pack as well, but they're not as cool as the ones I made with the shimmer cardstock. Let me add some foam tape to this and we'll get this on and we'll be ready for our final reveal in just a moment. Okay, I had a smaller piece left over from another project that made it quick and easy to just put on there. I'm going to place this towards the bottom here. Our Happy Halloween. And then let's go ahead and get this into its cage. What do y'all think? Let me hold it up close for you. There's our bat. You can see its ears. It's hanging upside down. And my fun key that I created to see if our bat can open up its cage soon. I'm gonna have to see if I'm gonna have to zip tie this thing to the cage, but not bad. It fits perfectly. My wings are still inside the cage for the most part. Let me get this in a spot where you all can see it for the final reveal. What do y'all think? That bat is hanging around. Oof, there went a bug. And all those eyes staring out. And here it is at night, just hanging around. Do we think that the bat has escaped the cage? I don't think so. I will see you all next time.